Everyone, I think, understands the concept of analytics. Everyone understands the concept of consumer data, and that retailers have been doing their best to do what they can with the consumer data that they've been given. I'm sure everybody in this room has been or is a member of a loyalty program and has participated in a number of surveys to try to give retailers more insight as to what they really want to buy in the store. I've sat in many rooms with retailers who struggle with the whole concept of, how do we monetize the data? And how do we turn this data how do we turn these learnings about our customers into money? Some loyalty programs have done a really good job with that, and others still continue to struggle, and I think that's just the nature of the information. If we look traditionally through the POS, which Brent mentioned, we know what you bought, we know where you bought it, we know when you bought it, and with the advance of loyalty programs, we had a good opportunity to understand who bought it. So when you consider the path to purchase analytics, retailers historically have done a great job understanding the purchase, which has been a very important piece of information. But what you'll also notice is that they've kind of been a little bit blinded to some of the other elements in this path to purchase and understanding maybe a little bit more about what customers are doing at the other phases of the continuum. So you take a look at the research, what about the in-store? What about the sales support? And what about the online research? How does that all fit into this whole concept of path to purchase? There's a whole new world of data that's exploded on the scene. I think Duncan's presentation was very evident about all the information and all the types of things that are taking place in technology around what consumers know, what they can do, and what they can read. Data has traditionally not been digital when you consider this whole path of the path to digital analytics. But what we're seeing more and more is this data becoming digital. So this digitization of information around the purchase is opening doors for retailers who can take a look at their customers in a much different way beyond just what they did when they got to the POS and beyond some of the information that they're learning through their loyalty programs. What this path to purchase is opening up is not the what, not the when, and the who, but the how. So what is the shopping behavior? In the next few slides, we're going to take a look at each of the elements of this path, and we're going to talk to you about some of the examples and some of the elements about how these elements are becoming digital and how retailers can hopefully start taking advantage of some of this information. So you take a look at the online research. I think Duncan did a great job again talking web analytics and click-through rates and a number of other things along those lines. How long customers, where they clicked on, where did they go, what did they check out, what was in their basket when they left. The retailers have been doing this for years, and they've got a lot of examples to build from. A perfect set of information. Traditionally, in the retail store, so I guess if you consider online, when you take a look at it, they do have the what, the where, the when, the who, but they also had a really good insight into the how. Retail stores have kind of continued to struggle with that how, and have used different ways, historically speaking, to try to understand the how. So when you get comparable information, traditionally speaking, we would rely on reputable market firms to do a sample size, a small sample size, to try to understand better what a focus group of our customers would tell us about our stores or about what they were doing before they entered our stores. Because once they got in there, we couldn't track them. Once they entered our stores, we had no idea technically what they were doing within the store. The only way that we recognized them was when they left. But by the time they leave, it's too late. So, for example, when you take a look at the slides, I saw a lot of the eyes popping in the audience about some of the numbers. For example, Digital Hug, which is a Canadian company, took a look through 65 million daily tweets, 40 million blogs, 100,000 forum boards, and all public Facebook posts. And they used analytics to filter customer opinions and turn them into valuable insight. In this case, it's about why customers choose a pain reliever. There's some huge customer sentiment in there, and they're giving these manufacturers and pharmaceutical companies huge insight as to what their customers are thinking and what they're doing through all of this data that they typically never had before, because this data has become digitized, but more importantly, the ability to analyze this data has increased dramatically. So think of the magnitude of insight. Think of the authenticity as customers pour their hearts out into all these social media avenues, and they start talking about your company, they start talking about your brand, and think about the power of that information that you can get while people are doing research before they even hit your store. So what does it all mean? Got the benefits up there? Good. During the online research phase, retailers can take all this publicly available information, digital information, and leverage the new analytic technologies to drive insight out of it. You know, a listening post, it's basically, the best example is a listening post. This is what the technologies are doing today. They sit online and they listen to what customers have to say about your brand, your store, your products, and your services. This listening post essentially gives customers the avenue to communicate in ways that you probably didn't communicate with them before. So it allows you to quantify customer sentiments. You can see the pie chart, it's pretty self-explanatory. New insights allowing you to quantify those sentiments. It allows you to better understand how consumers pre-shop. You know, our research suggests that 70% of women are pre-shopping before they even get to the store. So wouldn't it be interesting for you to know what they're doing as they're pre-shopping? And a lot of that insight is coming from their social media pages, is coming from these forums, and is coming from those blogs. It can assist with sales forecasting, you know, by better anticipating in advance of customers hitting the store what they want, what you should have on your shelves, and maybe what's not working or maybe what they didn't like in your store. And it gives you advance notice before they get there, maybe about things that are working, but also more importantly, things that aren't working. And lastly, it can help better manage quality issues. You know, I think everyone's heard that by mining these insights and paying attention to this information through these listening posts, because of all this digital information that's now available and all this communication that's available, you can start to hear what customers are talking about in terms of, do they like the quality in your store? Do they like the quality of your goods? Do they like the quality of the products that they're seeing? And if you start getting someone maybe who doesn't, or has said something that maybe they're not as interested in what you're doing at the store, you can start to react to that before it actually gets to the store level and hopefully stop it before it gets too viral. So when you consider the whole concept of online research, in many cases, the ability for retailers now to use analytics to mine all this information and to mine all these opinions is starting to grow exponentially. And there's a new space for you to better understand your customer before they even hit the store.